Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2023 FedEx Express and JA International Trade Challenge Asia Pacific Finals. I'm Kirk from JA Asia Pacific, and I'm so excited to be here as your MC over the next 3 days. Now, before anything else, a bit of housekeeping. We would like to remind all of our participants to please make sure you're using the official Zoom background for this event. Thank you. To kick off this year's program, we would like to take the opportunity to acknowledge and thank FedEx Express and Junior Achievement. Since 2007, FedEx has been collaborating with JA to inspire and foster international business acumen among high school student entrepreneurs. The ITC Challenge continues to serve as a promising training ground where students get close to real-life challenges that entrepreneurs face in the real world, a constantly changing business and trade environment. And FedEx, your support has been unwavering, and the impact you've made possible in terms of empowering our region's youth is truly impossible to measure. So thank you for your long-standing investment in these future leaders. And to my JA colleagues, you don't often get the credit that you deserve. We remain inspired and grateful for all of your work on the front lines with our region's youth, for engaging in all of the programs, walking the journey with them, for your mentorship, your passion, your hands-on engagement. You're enabling a world of possibilities for our young people, and we thank you so much for that. Now, for the past several months, student teams from across the region have been working on their respective challenges. That is, creating a market entry strategy for a specific product at the national level competition. So you might be wondering, what is the regional finals all about? Well, at this stage, the winning teams from each local competition get to represent their countries, and they're partnered up with other countries' finalists with a curveball topic to compete for top honors. And so this is a really great opportunity for all of our student finalists to immerse themselves in an even more competitive arena with higher stakes and learning to collaborate with peers from different cultures at the same time. Now, today, we are joined by 60 finalists representing 10 markets. And those 10 markets are Hong Kong, SAR, India, Indonesia, Japan, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, Republic of Korea, Thailand, and Vietnam. Now, the finalists went through a random draw to form 30 mixed teams, each team consisting of 2 students from different locations. And over the next couple of days, our finalists will be able to develop not only their entrepreneurial skills, but also their problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills, and also their ability to understand and work through cultural nuances. And while the journey and lessons learned along the way are priceless, and I really want to emphasize this, they really are, it's a unique thing. All of our students, really, just by being here, you've already won. But of course, we understand that this is a competition and you'll be competing for 3rd, 2nd, and 1st place honors. Now, before today's opening ceremony, let us watch a recap of the events leading up to this moment. All right. Well, to formally open the event, it's my pleasure to call upon the President and CEO of JA Asia Pacific, Mr. Maziar Sabat, to say a few words. Welcome, Maziar, and thank you so much for being here with us to formally kick things off. Over to you, Maziar.
Thank you, Kirk. Good morning on behalf of JA Asia Pacific. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to the FedEx JA International Trade Challenge Regional Finals. This competition is sponsored by FedEx, organized by JA, and the goal of ITC is to nurture the entrepreneurial spirit and the business skills of students across the Asia Pacific region. Each year, thousands of aspiring young entrepreneurs participate in local ITC workshops across our region over a period of around 8 months to create market entry strategies for a variety of products and services. A very important element of the program is that you go from traditional classroom learning to learning by doing. And we hope that this exposure, the exposure to real life, hands-on experience, will prove valuable for the rest of your lives. Since its debut in 2007, the ITC has developed nearly 45,000 young entrepreneurs across our region. Imagine that. I look forward to following your successes over the years to come, and we are incredibly grateful for the amazing support of FedEx in helping to nurture young entrepreneurs through the ITC program for the 17th consecutive year. In addition to financial support, FedEx volunteers have been essential to the success of our program. I hope that this commitment by FedEx executives to support an amazing cause also serves as an example and an inspiration for all of our students. Let me also take this opportunity to thank our special guest from FedEx, Ms. Kami Viswanathan, Senior Vice President of Operations for FedEx Express in the Middle East, Indian subcontinent, and Africa regions. A big thank you also to the JA Asia Pacific regional team and to our participating JA markets, led by amazing leaders in each of the markets. In India, Ms. Dinu Raja, Singapore, Ms. Hao Ying, Malaysia, Ms. Shanti Kantaswamy, in the Philippines, Mr. Krishna Alejandrino, in Indonesia, Mr. Rob Gardner, in Thailand, Ms. Perry Disku, in Vietnam, Ngoc Dun, in Hong Kong SAR, Ms. Vivian Choi, in Korea, Ms. Suna Lee, and in Japan, Ms. Yuriko Kuroki. Congratulations also to the amazing team at FedEx, led by Kawal Preet and her colleagues, led by Julia Kong and the entire regional team. Let me also say a special thank you to our amazing teachers. You have been walking the journey with our student participants. Your passion and support has been an inspiration truly to all of us. Finally, saving the best for last, to our students. I have been so inspired by your commitment to ITC, your collaboration with your fellow students. This event is just the start of your entrepreneurial journeys. I encourage you to think about how it might help you grow as individuals, but also how it may empower you to be even more positive influence on your communities and the institutions that govern these communities, and how it will inspire you not only to future professional success, but to actively walking a path of service to others and assuming the leadership role that we know you so richly deserve. Good luck to all of you.
All right. Thank you very much, Maziar, for those opening remarks. I'm sure that means a lot to our students. And again, we're just so delighted to welcome all of our students. It's such a special event, and it's wonderful to have you here. Now, our finalists have already worked so hard to make their way just to get to this much-awaited stage. And it's only right that they get the props they deserve. So I'm excited to introduce you to our finalists. Let's meet our students in this video.
Hi, my name is Kevin from Hong Kong.
Namaste. My name is Archer Chadha from TGS India.
Hi, my name is Akaf Hamzakti from Depok, Indonesia.
Hi,
my name is Yusuka Sato from Japan.
Hi, my name is Annie from Malaysia.
Hi! Mabuhay Maayong Adlaw! My name is Saichi Errol Bigapuno from Negros Occidental, Philippines.
From the Philippines.
Hello, my name is Siwoo Baek from the Republic of Korea, South Korea.
Hi everyone, I'm Audrey and I'm currently residing in Singapore.
Hello everyone, I'm Parmstakon from Thailand.
Xin chào, my name is Nguyễn Ngọc Linh from Vietnam.
My aspiration is to spark creativity ideas with other finalists.
My aspiration is to excel in this competition and engage with other competitors from diverse countries.
My aspiration is to interact with high schoolers from different countries and to develop the skills needed to create a business.
My aspiration is to become one of the best entrepreneurs.
My aspiration is to be a bridge between arts and public.
My aspiration is to make long-lasting friendships and unforgettable memories here.
And my aspiration is to become an entrepreneur and to create my own brand and identity as a versatile contemporary artist.
My aspiration is to create something meaningful and make a lasting impact on the world.
Interesting fun fact, I play Minecraft. I consider myself as a kind, caring, and hopefully a little funny person.
A little fun fact about me is that I'm a huge animal lover. From dogs to cats to even reindeers, I love all types of animals. Lastly, 3 adjectives that describe me best are optimistic, compassionate, and adventurous.
A fun fact about myself is my personal favorite quote is from William James. Act as if what you do creates a difference. It does. I am persistent, curious, and open-minded.
A little fun fact about me is I know how to speak, write, and listen a decent amount of French, and I never drink Coke before, as well as I love my sleep a lot.
A fun fact about myself is that I have actually been elected as the little mayor in our city. I am curious, passionate, and analytical.
A fun fact about myself is that I love designing clothes. I am creative, optimistic, and ambitious.
A fun fact about myself is that I'm learning to do magic tricks. I am calm, analytical, and image-focused. We are
GA.
All right, and there you have it. These are our 2023 FedEx Express and JA International Trade Challenge finalists. So congratulations to all of you for making it this far. And seeing your youthful energy, thinking back to when I was your age, which was a while ago, I'm just so inspired and hopeful about our future. And on behalf of all of us, I want to just say that this competition, I hope you can think of it as really a beginning to your entrepreneurial journey. That's a message you're going to hear a lot. It's a meaningful step into a bigger world. It's a glimpse of the possibility and potential that each of you harness to leave your mark on society and lead our collective future. So again, we would like to thank FedEx for their continued support for this program, which, as you've already heard, has helped educate and inspire nearly 45,000 students across Asia on global trade and entrepreneurship over the past 17 years. And today, we're especially delighted to have with us Kami Viswanathan, Senior Vice President of Operations for FedEx Express in the Middle East, Indian subcontinent, and Africa region. Kami is responsible for strategy and commercial growth in the region and leading corporate innovation. She has over 2 decades of experience in marketing and driving commercial strategy and has worked all across the world. Now, before joining FedEx, Kami co-founded Lumina Datamatics, a leading provider of educational content and technology solutions to the US and European markets, employing over 3,000 people across 7 locations globally. She's also the founder of Work 4.0 Capital, a cross-border investment firm focusing on the future of learning and work. And earlier in her career, Kami headed mergers and acquisitions and project implementation at Office Tiger, a content solutions partner to leading investment banks. And she also worked with Arthur Andersen's business advisory practice, helping multinational companies negotiate joint ventures and set up operations in India. I mean, wow, talk about an impressive track record. Today, in addition to the welcoming address, Kami will also be delivering the keynote, where she will share with us her own insights drawing on her unique experience as an entrepreneur. And following Kami's talk, we'll also have time for a brief Q&A with the students. So students, please listen carefully, prepare, and share your questions throughout the presentation by typing them in the chat box on Zoom. And given her rich experience as an entrepreneur herself and her unique vantage point at FedEx, I really think we're going to have a lot of student questions. I certainly hope so. And I would encourage all of our students to really seize this opportunity to speak directly with Kami. It's such a unique opportunity. So again, without further ado, please join me in giving a warm, warm welcome to Kami Viswanathan.
Good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to welcome all of you to the FedEx Express JA International Trade Challenge Regional Finals 2023. It's extremely fitting to speak to young, aspiring entrepreneurs like you today on World Entrepreneurs Day, a day to celebrate innovation and empowerment of entrepreneurs and their leadership throughout the world. In our audience today, we have our student finalists from across the EMEA region. We have our distinguished judges, as well as our very own FedEx volunteers and partners from JA. That's 4 groups of people that over the last 17 years have made this meaningful competition such an enduring success. What makes this competition more meaningful is the challenge that we set each year for the students, which are real-world problems facing businesses today. While established leaders continue to apply their industry experience to address customer needs, our student finalists here are attuned to what future customers want. That's why competitions like these are important. It provides a learning platform which often cannot be found in the classroom, where aspiring entrepreneurs like you can rub shoulders with the business leaders of today and share your ideas. And that's an experience all of us benefit from. In the next 2 days, you will compete with the best brains in the region. It will be tough, but rewarding. Whether you come out on top or not, this experience will help sharpen your business planning, creative thinking, and presentation skills. All of these will be invaluable in your future careers and the varied roles that you will definitely play. I look forward to seeing you in action. I know that everyone here today is going to come together to make this a memorable experience. Be sure to collaborate and learn lots from each other. Make new friends, and above all, have fun. Best of luck to all of you. Now, let me shift gears and talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and the opportunities that lie ahead of you. The business environment we're operating in today is vastly different from what it was last year. Intensified geopolitical tensions, high inflation, and a changing operating environment are creating new challenges for businesses of all kinds. The recovery from the global pandemic continues to cast complexity in the global supply chain. But the good news is the pandemic has also spurred a surprising uptick in entrepreneurship. Behind this uptick are the rising number of young entrepreneurs. A recent study has shown that since the pandemic began, 44% of people your age are now more interested in starting a business of their own. There's never been a more exciting time to build a startup in EMEA, a region that has been known for being a fertile ground for entrepreneurs. Latest data shows that in H1 of this year, funding to startups in Asia has been over $36 billion. As I welcome all of you here today, you are our Gen Next, our future leaders, who will play a significant role in not only creating value for your organizations, customers, and shareholders, but also disrupting for good, for the betterment of people and communities everywhere. Remember that entrepreneurship is not only about starting a new business. It is about building a vision and motivating people around you to come together to act collectively and solve problems innovatively. One can bring an entrepreneurial mindset to any context and any profession or career that you choose to pursue. Prior to joining FedEx, I started and ran a technology and content solutions company for over 10 years to help global publishers stay ahead of the digital revolution. Post the acquisition of my company, I put on a different hat and supported startups as an investor to bring new technologies to market. In my current role at FedEx, I try to bring that same entrepreneurial mindset to achieve our vision of making supply chains smarter for everyone and grow our business in the region. I can't wait to hear the fresh perspectives and creative thinking that you will bring to the challenge over the next 3 days. Remember, win or lose, it's the experience that matters. Each one of you should feel proud of getting to the final stage and competing with equally bright minds for the top spots. Consider this as a launching pad, a place where you can learn important skills such as teamwork, networking, problem solving, critical thinking, and innovation from each other. Now let's talk about what opportunities lie ahead. Why is disrupting for good critical in the post-pandemic world? As concerns for the environment continue to grow among business leaders, one pressing question overshadows all others. How can entrepreneurs help in building a better and more sustainable future? The reality is that many of the environmental issues facing businesses today are the byproducts of the Industrial Revolution, a period marked by the advent of manufacturing based on heavy industrial machinery to improve efficiencies and business outcomes. As leaders across the world now turn to advanced technologies such as renewable fuels to help build sustainable operations, it's critical for future entrepreneurs to start off on the right foot, considering both the economic benefit and the environmental impact. So how can we create the most fertile environment possible to foster future-ready entrepreneurs? This is something we think about all the time at FedEx, because a big part of our job is to provide small businesses with access to the global stage and connect people with possibilities for a better future. A future that's more equitable and sustainable. And the short answer to this question lies in 3 key trends that are shaping the path for future entrepreneurs. First, today we are all living in an interconnected world. Not only have we seen the blurring lines between the physical and virtual worlds thanks to modern technologies, we have also seen a growing number of bilateral and multilateral trade agreements signed between Asia and the rest of the world over the past 3 years. It's particularly worth noting that entrepreneurship in Asia will have immense new opportunities to join this interconnected commerce. Why is that? If you look at what's happening around the world in the wake of the supply and demand shocks brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, there is a clear trend that businesses are redesigning their manufacturing and supply chain strategies. At the center of this shift is the development of a more diversified sourcing strategy with demand for manufacturing in countries like Vietnam, Thailand, India, and the Philippines set to grow. You might wonder, as the world faces record high inflation, energy shortages, geopolitical tensions, does it still make sense to be an entrepreneur and start a new business? Well, the short answer is yes. Economic stresses often promote a new wave of entrepreneurialism if you look back at history. We are fortunate in EMEA to have one of the most robust and fastest growing startup ecosystems. The startup ecosystem in India, where I am based, is fast becoming the third largest in the world with over 100 unicorns. So opportunities are aplenty for aspiring entrepreneurs to grow. The investment environment in EMEA is also maturing, with venture capital and private equity growth surpassing North America. While there is growing support for entrepreneurs and startups from venture capitalists and global funds, competitions like ITC provide young people such as yourselves with a platform to learn and think about how exactly you can seize the opportunities in this increasingly interdependent, interconnected world. In these next few days, you'll be working on a challenge close to the real-world problems businesses are facing today. You'll have the chance to delve deep into the complexity of global trade, government regulations, and the nitty-gritty of supply chain operations, all of which are critical to the success of any international business. The second trend I'd like to talk about is the democratization of technology. Technology is leveling the playing field for big and small players, providing powerful intelligence and data insights to help young entrepreneurs compete on the global stage. Leaps in technological innovation in areas like artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and software robotics are powerful democratizing factors in business, allowing companies to scale processes more quickly than ever before and reduce barriers like infrastructure or cost. Today, with AI-powered chatbots and smart recommendations, even lean startups can deliver personalized experiences and exceptional customer service to build deep customer relationships. The democratization of technology also means aspiring entrepreneurs can start their business much more easily and at a lower cost thanks to cloud-based technologies. At the same time, as the barriers to entry have become lower, competition has intensified. Just simply look at the sheer number of participants we have here today. Compared with the very first edition of the JAITC, where just 300 students participated, this year, with the virtual format, we had nearly 5,000 student participants from across 10 EMEA markets. So how can you stand out in the crowd? And how can established businesses play a role in helping aspiring young entrepreneurs succeed? At FedEx, we're applying powerful data insights generated from our global network to guide us to make supply chains smarter for everyone. We have unique insight into how entrepreneurs are spurring their own growth. Many are moving up on the digital adoption curve faster than before, building online businesses to serve customers across the globe. Whether it's digital versions of old analog products or services, existing products enhanced with better digital features, or entirely new offerings, the vast array of technologies available to even the smallest of startups has been game-changing. Indeed, the future will be shaped by data-driven, innovative technologies. As digitization and digital transformation has become essential for businesses to remain competitive, you have the opportunity to rewrite the business rulebooks, helping legacy businesses digitize their services to become future-ready. Democratization of technology has also broken geographical barriers, and startups are now able to think globally. Research shows that 40% of Indian startups that received seed funding rounds between $500,000 and $5 million in 2022 are building for global markets. Most are building software across categories, but we're starting to see more internationally focused consumer brands and B2B commerce companies as well. The new wave of AI startups will only accelerate this trend. Over 50% of new startups launched in India are likely to be global from day one. As Gen Next, you are digital natives and have the innate ability to not only navigate technologies like AI and machine learning to make your own life easier, but also invent and innovate to move businesses forward. Already, great things are happening at FedEx on this front. Earlier this year, we launched FedEx Innovation Lab with the goal to cultivate and collaborate with rising early-stage digital startups in India as well as the wider region to build smart logistics for all. This leads me to my final point here today. The third trend that is emerging is that entrepreneurs and startups will be purpose-driven and will build to address bigger economic, societal, and environmental issues caused by shifting demographics and climate change. It's evident that the world is undergoing a drastic change. It's alarming to hear that at least 85% of the global population has experienced extreme weather events caused by climate change. Robert Swan, one of the world's greatest explorers, famously said, "The greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it." The present state of our environment is clearly a reminder of the urgent need for collective action. To prevent climate catastrophe, businesses must shift towards sustainable operations and products. Numerous studies have indicated that companies are increasingly prioritizing their sustainability goals. Sustainability is a business imperative today and will remain so for years to come, as we know the path to carbon neutral cannot be built overnight. For future entrepreneurs like you, building a purpose-driven, sustainable business is an impactful opportunity. To achieve this, many young entrepreneurs are increasingly looking for solutions and business partners who share the same values, from sourcing and packaging to sustainable operations and green financing. This aligns with the UN 2030 Sustainability Agenda, which encourages businesses to consider the social, economic, and environmental consequences and leads to conscious choices in terms of the trade-offs, synergies, and new solutions. FedEx is a people-focused, purpose-driven organization. We share the same beliefs as many of you do. We are committed to connecting people with possibilities in responsible and resourceful ways. Over the past 13 years, we have been proactively disclosing our ESG strategies and initiatives to the public and our stakeholders, and we are proud to be the leader and forerunner in the logistics industry by setting an ambitious goal of achieving carbon neutral operations by 2040. That's 10 years ahead of the goals set by the Paris Climate Agreement. Not only do we invest in our own operations to become more sustainable, knowing the challenges facing resources lean enterprises when building sustainable operations, we launched FedEx Sustainability Insights recently to help SMEs track their carbon emissions within their supply chains and plan a greener, more sustainable operation. Of course, achieving this bold goal cannot be done by FedEx alone. That's why collaborations across the ecosystem are so critical. We see a real need to help nurture next-gen business leaders with critical skills to build future-ready, purpose-driven businesses for the betterment of our people, our communities, and our planet. And we're committed to supporting small businesses with good causes to thrive in the global stage. For instance, in Thailand, we have been working with an inspiring entrepreneur who built a social enterprise that employs local female population to create eco-friendly beeswax wraps for food storage and other organic, non-plastic based products and sell them to global customers. In doing so, not only does the business help reduce waste from single-use plastics, but it also creates employment in rural areas and promotes women's empowerment. In India, we are working with Social Alpha, a multi-stage innovation, curation, and venture development platform for science and technology startups to launch the FedEx and Social Alpha Accelerator for sustainable last-mile logistics. This program aims to identify and accelerate the growth of startups who have showcased promising innovations in electric bicycles that deliver both excellent user experience as well as service quality. Examples like these are plentiful. Remember, you're never too small to make a big impact. As leaders around the world place more emphasis on sustainable business practices, there will be strong growth in climate and equality-focused startups in our region. And I encourage you to be part of that growing entrepreneur community. Being an entrepreneur requires more than expertise and digital know-how. It needs burning passion, dedication, and a commitment in every step you take. FedEx was a young company 50 years ago. It all started from a term paper written by our founder, Frederick W. Smith, who envisioned building a revolutionary way to transport time-sensitive shipments. Although he received an average grade for his paper, Mr. Smith was not deterred. On April 17, 1973, we began operations in Memphis, Tennessee, with 389 team members. That night, 14 aircraft delivered 186 packages to 25 US cities. Today, 50 years later, FedEx has the most extensive express transportation network in the world, serving more than 220 countries and territories. So it all starts with thinking about what you care about, where your passion lies, and what keeps you motivated every day and drives you to succeed. Finally, let me leave you with one thought. Entrepreneurship is all about building resilience and the willingness to learn from failure. In the words of FedEx founder Fred Smith, fear of failure must never be a reason not to try something. I encourage all of you to be brave and break new ground. Thank you.
All right, thank you so very much, Kami. That was an amazing presentation, and I think I speak for all of us when I say there's so much there to learn. I mean, you've walked the talk, you've been through so much, so Kami, I mean, so many insights that you shared with us. That's amazing. Now, we've allotted some time for our student finalists to share some follow-up questions. And, okay, I understand that people can't hear me. Okay, I think we're back. All right, everyone can hear me? Great. Well, I was just saying thank you so very much, Kami. That was incredible. You shared so many nuggets of wisdom with us. Incredible stuff. You've walked the talk. And so, you know, myself, all of our students, we learned so much. We've allotted a little bit of time for our students to share some follow-up questions. So I would still encourage our students to share their questions in the chat. But we've got a couple queued up. So Kami, if you're ready, I'll read them to you, and please share your responses. I'm sure we're looking forward to what you have to say. So one of the questions is asking, one of our students is asking, should startups think and act locally or globally from the get-go, from the outset, or both? How do you recommend students think about that? Is it a false paradox? What's the way to sort of conceptualize that?
Sure, thanks for that question. I think it's a great one. And it's something that most startups grapple with. I think today you have the opportunity and the technology to support more global thinking. So when you're building a product or a service or solving a problem for customers, you have the ability to think about how can you scale that to global markets, to consumers across the world, to businesses across the world. But remember that what's very important in building a startup is to establish that what you're building actually meets customer needs. So from that point of view, you might want to start local in trying to understand and refine what customers want and what that means for your product or service, so that you're able to build a more robust offering that you can then, over a period of time, think about scaling more globally. So I would say think global, but act local to start with, and then build from there on. Hope that helps.
Okay, great. That's a great question and a wonderful response, Kami. And I think you mentioned as well during your presentation that idea of, we do live in an increasingly interconnected world. And so starting with that local perspective, solving for that, but then thinking about how your solution, your product, your service could scale up and reach a much larger audience, I think is the right way to think about that. So wonderful advice. We've got another question here, and we got a couple different versions of the same question, so it must be front and center for many of our students. And a lot of our students were wanting to know, how should young entrepreneurs focus on creating a unique and innovative product, something that stands out from the crowd? We know this is a big part of branding. It's important, but how can students bake that in from the get-go?
Sure. So I think it's good that you're thinking about how do you build a unique, differentiated product, because that is really the core of the value you bring to a customer. In terms of how you might go about that, I think it starts with what is the problem you're trying to solve. So clearly, when you start thinking about a product or a service, there is a problem in the market that you're seeing or experiencing that you want to solve. And I think when you think about what that problem is and how your solution addresses that problem in a way that is simple, easy to use, and cost efficient, and something that maybe enables a customer to think about, how can I adopt this, and how can I then promote this to people in my network, people that I know. I think that is the kind of excitement that you want to build in a customer about the product or service that you're building. So I think it's all about keeping it simple, keeping it efficient, and keeping it something that has the potential to scale. Hope that helps.
All right, great stuff, Kami. Again, one of the takeaways I heard there, I just emphasize for our students, is simplicity, not only in terms of the idea, the concept, but also execution, which again, for many of you is going to be something you're thinking about as you come up with your concepts in the coming days. So great advice there from Kami. I hope everyone was taking notes. I think we've got time for one or two more. One of the questions, Kami, that students are also curious about, and it's a little bit linked, I suppose, to the first question, is how should startups navigate local regulations? Again, is this something they should think about in terms of where they incorporate? What are your thoughts on this?
Sure. So I think being compliant with the regulatory environment is very important for startups. And you want to make sure that the way you're setting up is compliant with local requirements, with potentially cross-border requirements as you think about serving multiple markets, trade requirements, and other regulations around taxation, around repatriation of funds, and so forth. I think when you start, I would say, again, keep it simple. Start in a local market. Start with a single entity that you can build the business in. And then as you go forward in your journey, and as you have potentially external investors coming in and other stakeholders coming in, they will also be able to provide you with insights on what is the best way for you to set up your startup. But remember that there is no two ways about compliance. Compliance is most important, and that's something that you want to build into the DNA of your startup from day one. Thanks.
All right, great stuff, Kami. Thank you. If I may, I'd like to just ask one final question myself. You've shared so many things. given me a lot to think about. Made me wish I was a little bit younger, a little bit more entrepreneurial at a younger age. But one of the things I'd like to ask you about is how important is it to just get started? I mean, I think sometimes, obviously, it's important to think about what kind of product you want to build, what market you want to enter into, what problem are you solving for. But I think it's also sometimes the case that people who want to start a business can overthink things, and there's almost analysis paralysis. So how much learning on the job can take place, and how much do you need to do beforehand? How would you think about that, and what advice might you share with our students?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And there is definitely a balance between planning and research and analysis and development of your proposition, and then the point where you actually start to execute. And this balance is important because a lot of times you learn by doing in the context of a startup. So if you're looking to take a product to market, start with a minimum viable product, something that you believe has the very basic features a customer needs to solve the problem that you're trying to solve. It need not be the most refined or robust product. It need not be the most sophisticated. So long as you have a minimum product and you're able to take it to market, you have the opportunity to get feedback from customers, and you can fine-tune your approach based on what you're hearing back. And I think that's how you end up building something that actually has a good product market fit, as opposed to something that you or your team might believe is a great product, but at the end of the day, maybe doesn't exactly meet market needs. So to mitigate that risk, which is a big risk, it's important to get to market when you feel you have a basic proposition, work with a few customers who are willing to co-develop the product with you, and build from there. And I think that helps you to come out of this analysis paralysis that was alluded to just a little bit earlier, and also learn from your customers and build a product together with your customers. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you so very much to our students for those wonderful questions. And of course, it goes without saying, I mean, Kami, that was amazing. We learned so much from you, and we really look forward to welcoming you back on the third and final day at the awards ceremony on Wednesday. Thank you so much, Kami. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you, Kami.
Thank you so much, and all the very best to all of you.
Thank you very much. All right, well, next up, we'll be having a panel discussion with 3 of our FedEx Express and JA ITC alumni. Participants at this International Trade Challenge may wonder what's in store for them after this event. And I can't think of a better way to understand this than by listening to other young people who have already gone through this before. This afternoon, we have the pleasure of inviting a few outstanding alumni from the ITC program from over the years to share how this program has had an impact on their lives. So our Fireside with FedEx Express, JAITC Asia Pacific alumni is titled Turning Passion into Purpose. So let me introduce our panel. First off, we have Rainey Nakpil from the Philippines, and she participated in ITC back in 2021. We also have Lucy Lee from Korea, who participated in the 2018 ITC. And more recently, we have Jamie Yao from Singapore, who participated in last year's event. And I should mention that all 3 of these young women were top 3 finalists. So we're delighted to welcome you all. I see that you're on screen. So we've got a few questions. Maybe I'll start with one for all 3 of you, if I could. So first off, can you just, each of you, give us an update about where you are now, what you're doing, what you're studying, where you're working, since taking part in ITC. So maybe Jamie, we'll start with you, since you just went through all of this last year.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Nice to meet everybody. I'm so excited for your journey, throughout this whole competition. So I actually began my journey in the startup and entrepreneurship space a year ago. So it was really timely because while I was doing this competition, I was also running my own trust and safety startup called Empathy. And through that personal, journey of doing the startup work, I realized that I also really, really enjoyed youth development and leadership work. So, I did enjoy the co-creation aspect of startup, but I realized that, through this startup venture for a year, I really actually wanted to be in the social space a lot more. So this journey in itself was a path of self-discovery on my personal interests, which led me to eventually intern for a youth development charity called Halogen Foundation. And I eventually found home in nonprofits and charity. But on the topic of startups in itself, I felt super empowered and enabled just by trying this startup out for a year. And because I tried and because I started, I've actually gotten a very good gist of how it feels like to lead partnerships and communications. And that's what I'm doing now in my nonprofits. So I'm actually in two different nonprofits. One is ASEAN Business Youth Association, where we focus on ASEAN youth. And the second one is actually Cyber Youth Singapore, a nonprofit that is the leading youth in tech umbrella movement in Singapore. So when I look back on my journey, I realized that, through competitions like JITC, through doing this entrepreneurial journey on my own, I found a lot of passion areas that I want to work on in the future.
That's amazing. Thanks, Jamie. I mean, it sounds like you've been up to so much in just a year, so incredible. Lucy, can we turn to you next?
Sure. So happy to be here. I'd like to start off with that. My name is Lucy. I attended ITC when I was a senior in high school. I attended a university in the States right after called the University of Pennsylvania. I actually just graduated this past month. So I studied neuroscience in college, which may feel like you may think it's very distant from entrepreneurship or anything, but I would say that's really not the case. And college was like a time, especially right after ITC, where I realized whatever major you decide to pursue, entrepreneurship will always be like a very golden piece in your journey, whichever career, whichever field you decide to take. So that's definitely something that I had in mind throughout my entire career, even though I had no intentions of majoring in anything like business or anything like that. And so I kind of stayed faithful to that lesson from ITC and started my own little nonprofit slash social entrepreneurship venture, I would say. Starting about 2 years ago, I started working in Uganda to establish their health systems and strengthen their health systems, build emergency medical services, and so on. And I would definitely say that I could definitely talk more about this later, but I would definitely say that lessons from ITC, the core values, are very transferable, whichever space you're in, nonprofit, for-profit, or whatever in between. So I would say that you're definitely in the right spot if you're envisioning yourself to work in any of these ventures in the near future. Thank you so much for having me today. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much, Lucy. That's amazing. And I think that's a great takeaway, that this entrepreneurial skill set that one develops in programs like the ITC Challenge, completely transferable, no matter what your passion is, what it is you choose to pursue. So that's a great point. Glad to hear what you're up to. And last but not least, Rainey, would love to hear where you are, where this event finds you, and what you're up to.
Hi, everybody. So this year I just graduated from high school. So I graduated from the British School Manila on an international baccalaureate scholarship. So I was the second runner-up in the 2021 JA FedEx International Trade Challenge, and I did that when I was 15. So it's been a little while. After that, I continued working part-time with Junior Achievement Philippines by becoming a student ambassador and also a mentor for various competitions, not just this one, but also Company of the Year, for example. So yeah, it's been about 3 years since I joined the competition, and I don't think it's an understatement to say that my life has changed dramatically since joining. Before becoming involved with JA, it was like kind of my dream in life, and I bonded over this with my ITC partner. to enter the field of medicine. But recently, like I think with all of my experience with JA, I've kind of moved away from that science dream, and now I'm more focused on business and ideas like international relations. So what really opened my eyes to this world of entrepreneurship was the really great opportunity I was given this summer to attend a fully funded boot camp in Malaysia as the Junior Achievement Philippines Alumni President. So now I'm about to start my first year of college, not taking a BS, but taking a BA in communications. And right now I'm just focusing on strengthening the J Philippines alumni community. And we have a lot of exciting events in store, and I'm so happy to be here with you all today.
Amazing stuff. Thank you, Rainey. And it's a great point. I think for our students who are taking part in this event, and as you envision your futures, it's normal to evolve, to change, to pivot. What you're doing now, how you're thinking about your future will no doubt continue to evolve. All right, well, we've got a few other questions we'd like to get to, maybe just to make it simple. So for our alumni, if you have anything to say, just unmute yourself and have at it. So looking back, what would you say were your biggest takeaways from ITC, and how has it shaped you up to this point? And some of you touched on this, but maybe you'd like to say more. Who would like to get us kicked off?
I think I can definitely go ahead first, if that's okay.
Please.
Yes, I think the biggest takeaway that the Asia Pacific Finals at ITC provides is definitely the global collaboration. I think there's a very good, legitimate reason why ITC as a whole decided to break up your original pairs from your original countries and instead match you with a completely random person that you've never met before and from a different country. And I think that in itself puts you in a very challenging position where you have to navigate yourself in not only communicating with a person you've never met before, but also working with them in a very tight schedule to produce something that's very persuasive for a very large audience. There may be people who've never presented in front of these many people, before, who's never worked with someone from a different country before, and there's cultural differences, there's language differences, working style differences that you have to navigate through to be able to achieve what you want to achieve by participating in ITC. And if you can't get through that part, I think that's a really crucial thing that can really make or break your experience at ITC. And it's definitely the biggest thing I would say you can gain out of this if you really put in your everything. So I would say the biggest takeaway is really that experience where, it's really hard to meet a complete random stranger from a different country with similar interests and with similar qualifications and interests in business and trade and so on in a well-coordinated event like this. So I would say definitely think about that, think about the value that brings and how that can help you to practice your leadership and communication skills and try to really make the best out of that as well.
Well, that's such a good point, Lucy. Thank you. And again, I would emphasize that again, just make sure everyone caught that soundbite or my take on it, which is, it's important to be comfortable with discomfort, being pushed out of your comfort zone, working with people, given a curveball topic, because that's the real world. And at the end of the day, that's what this program is about. And just being able to adapt is so critical. Excellent points. Rainey or Jamie, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, completely second, what Lucy said. And on a similar tangent as well, my biggest takeaway was really the regional friendships. And I know it sounds a bit cliche in that sense, but in 10 years' time, in 2 years' time, you may or may not remember whether you won, what you did, or the problem that you pitched. But what you will remember are really the relationships, the friendships, and the connections. So, for example, last year when I came on to the ITC, I made a lot of friends and I connected with them on social media. So some, for example, like Instagram. And it's really, really nice because when you look on Instagram, you open it, you see how they've grown, where they're going to next. Some of them have gotten into relationships, some of them have gotten into scholarships for their colleges and moved on to start new initiatives and businesses. So I think that, in my take, the biggest takeaway for me was really to be a part of this network, to be a part of their lives through, social media or just keeping up to replying their Instagram stories in itself. And because we all live different lives, I think it's so amazing that through JAITC, through this amazing competition sponsored I feel that we all really have to cherish these relationships.
That's a really important point, I think, Jamie. You know, the people we work with, the relationships we develop, I mean, this determines so much of our success, not only in an event like this, but in life. So really good point. And I guess the takeaway for our students taking part would be, you know, really get to know your partner, work closely together. You know, you're going to be pushed, and it's important that under pressure, you can work well together, not only during the event, but also to maintain that relationship over time. Wonderful stuff. I'm just going to move along to another question, if I may. And maybe, Rainey, since we didn't get to hear from you on that last question, we can start with you here. But this applies to all three of you. If you had a time machine and could go back to the ITC event in the year that you took part in, what advice would you tell your younger self heading into this event?
Yeah, so for me, I probably would have encouraged myself to kind of worry less, because given about like above all, win or lose, like what Jamie said, in 2 years' time, you might not even remember if you won first place, second place, third place, or even if you didn't place. And I think looking back now, in the place I'm in my life, I can say that with confidence that I've witnessed firsthand how JA cares for each and every one of their alumni, regardless if you have like a title or not. So from platforms to JA Gather, to the continuous opportunities given to us even after the competition has concluded, Jay kind of does a very good job at including everyone in their family. And I think this reminder is something that would have benefited my younger self, given that, like, admittedly, I was very hyper focused on wanting to win. Like, I kind of forgot to just enjoy the ride. Um, and I remember how, during the alumni boot camp I attended, me and the other alumni presidents kind of bond over the fact that none of us in the room were like, well, most of us couldn't say in the room that we were like the first place winner of the JA competition we participated in. I mean, like I mentioned a while ago, I was second runner up. But despite that, we were all still gathered in a room together representing our entire region. So, regardless of our titles, JA still gave us this once in a lifetime opportunity to lead and to serve. So, I'd like to, remind the other participants in this meeting right now to, simply enjoy and to remember that your JA journey will continue long after this competition concludes.
That's amazing, Rainey. Thank you so much. Really good advice. How about Lucy or Jamie? Anything you wanted to add or your own take on that?
I think I can definitely add on to that. I think the biggest things, the biggest perks of ITC is that it never ends when the competition comes to a close. For me personally, I've always been an active member of JA Korea and the Alumni Network, and we're actually trying to get more and more people involved. So I want to take this as an opportunity to really vouch for everyone that this ITC experience, the people that you meet here, this is not going to be the last time you meet them. And it really shouldn't be that way because it really brings a lot of value. And there is a lot of value in being connected with a huge network of people around the world who's been through a similar experience, also want to do similar things in the future, be entrepreneurs, and so on. So just want to take this as an opportunity to say whichever country you're representing today, make sure you stay connected to your country's JA network. It is going to be one of the biggest, basically, support systems if you decide to be an entrepreneur later in college or later in life.
That's great. Jamie, any advice you'd like to impart in terms of how the students should think about the next couple of days?
Awesome. I think one thing is to always be open to different perspectives. I think especially when we are working with people from different nationalities, different cultures, different schools, one thing that I would absolutely tell myself is definitely communicate with your partner, be very, very open to what he or she is saying, and make sure to always start with leveraging each other's strengths. So my partner, his name was called Jacob. He was from the Philippines, and he was absolutely amazing at marketing. And that was really, really fundamental to my progress throughout the competition as well, because I could handle the operation side, because I took an international trade diploma back in high school. And for him, because he's so great at marketing and selling things and communication, he handled that. So that's one tip that I would give.
That's great. And just to riff on that, I mean, another way to put it might be to say that it's really important to complement each other. You don't have to do the same things well, but identifying what one person does well, what another person does well, and then working together as a team is important. And you also mentioned, speaking up and talking, but I think the flip side of that, which is probably equally important, is being a good listener. Because as we know, it's impossible to listen and talk at the same time. So again, working on that relationship before you get towards a solution, I think for our students is great advice. All right, I think we have time for one, maybe two more questions. So again, I'd like to ask this one to all three of you, and please chime in if you've got something to say. Why should young people think about international trade in the first place? Why does or should it matter to young people? There's so many other things to think about. Who'd like to get us started on this one?
I could probably go first. I think, okay, coming from a background with a diploma in international trade, I would say it's been super crucial. So when I did my startup stint in Empathly, what it was, doing international trade in itself, it was an entrepreneurial fundamental skill. And why do I say that? It really kind of brings you to the mindset of how do you think practically, how do you think critically, how do certain factors chime in, especially at an international perspective, into your business. And I think that when we as youths do international trade, it should matter. It definitely should, especially for all the upcoming and bright entrepreneurs, especially for everybody that's interested to start their own project, do their own thing, or even contribute to a cause that the world needs. And because international trade has that very strong international aspect, along with how businesses communicate and work with each other, I think this is such a good platform, especially for everybody to learn and to really start honing that muscle and skill.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Lucy or Rainey, anything you'd like to add on this? Why does international trade matter, or why should it matter to young people?
Yeah, I'd like to echo everything Jamie said. And also, for me personally, I feel like at the heart of international trade is this great idea that, our world has developed to accommodate communication and collaboration, not hindered by any literal or metaphorical borders. So I guess sometimes this is something we can kind of take for granted, but this very competition teaches us to look at other participants from so many different regions and cultures and appreciate that we're able to work with them. So, international trade is, I'd say, like an intrinsic part of all of our lives. And rooted in that is the opportunity we have to help others and to share our resources. So, yeah, from stimulating economic growth to providing access to foreign technology and just promoting cultural growth, it's an essential part in shaping us as global citizens who contribute to making this world a better place, which is why it's something that should matter to young people and to all people.
Thank you, Rainey. I think we have time for one more question, and maybe Lucy, I'll have you close us out on this one since you didn't get a chance to chime in on the question just now. So, more and more we hear about how young people are the future, and often you'll hear this from older people. So my question, I guess, is do you think of this as pressure from older generations who maybe don't have the answers and they're just turning to young people for hope, or do you think of this as something that you want to live up to, a challenge that is something that is exciting to you as innovators potentially?
Yes, I think, I definitely don't think of it as a burden myself for me personally, because I don't think our journey as global citizens as a world to find solutions and our desire to find solutions is not like a pie that we need to share. It's not like I do half, you do half. It doesn't really work that way, the way I see it. I think it's more like a global movement really to make our world collectively a better place. And there's no me or you, us versus them kind of mentality in that journey. And I think one of the most important things that really ties in well with that is this whole process about thinking about international trade, international business, entrepreneurship, and even like trying to find solutions for the next generation. All of that really kind of narrows, like it kind of boils down to the question of like what values are you standing up for? And I think ITC is excellent in that way. It's an excellent opportunity to practice that and think about what kind of person you can be to bring those solutions, because it helps you to practice a value-centered approach, which makes you think about sustainability. It makes you think about long-term things instead of short-term goals. And that is a key thing, regardless of what kind of solution you're trying to present. Because I personally think why you do certain things is sometimes matters more than what you actually do, because that obviously pitches into sustainability, viability, and it's like the goal to make things more sustainable and more successful in the long run. So I think, it's more of a global movement. It's really not, no one should feel burdened to be the ultimate hero for the world. I don't think it's on anyone's shoulders like that. It's more of a collective thing, and it's more about what kind of leadership and communication skills do you have to bridge people together and bridge resources together. And ITC in that way is an excellent chance to practice that in a smaller sense as high school students. It's like I would say a preview of what the bigger world is going to be like when you go to college and beyond.
Well, I mean, thank you, Lucy, Jamie, and Rainey, all three of you. I mean, all of your answers were so incredibly thoughtful and mature, and I think that's a real testament to, I'm sure there are many forces that have shaped you and brought you to where you are, but I would like to think that ITC played a role in that. Listening to all of you speak, I'm just so impressed, truly. Thank you very much. Your insights, thanks for sharing your insights on your experience. I hope it's of value to this year's students. Now, before we end the fireside chat, I'm told that Rainey, as a member of the Alumni Leadership Academy, you have something to share with the ITC finalists. So Rainey, please take it away.
It's my pleasure to be able to advocate for all of you to please use the Junior Achievement Gather app, which you can use on your computers or on your phones, as I do. This app can ensure that all of you stay connected with us even after this competition ends. Who knows, maybe in a couple of years, this very app is where we'll tap you to be one of our panelists in an event similar to this one. So from internships to real work to exclusive events, just like the fully funded bootcamp I was able to attend in another country, Gather strengthens our sense of belonging in our growing community of 100 million plus JA alumni worldwide. So grow your international network, make new friends, and embark on new exciting experiences which will shape you as a person, a student, and a young professional in an increasingly globally competitive world. Being a part of the JA community gives you an irrefutable edge, and I can assure you that it is a family you belong with. So thank you, everyone, and please utilize the Gather app to see how much more we have in store for you. To sign up, you can scan the QR code seen on screen, or you can go to the link that's also on the slide, or just Google, JA Gather. And yeah, we hope to see you sign up. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that invitation to join Gather and be part of our alumni network. Thank you, Rainey. Now, before we proceed to the next item on our agenda, it's time for us to take a quick photo with all of our finalists, as well as all of the guests who are joining us here today. So to anyone from FedEx who is with us, to our ITC alumni, Jamie, Lucy, Rainey, we would like to request that you kindly turn on your cameras and click the raise hand button so that you will go to the top of the screen. All right, so our staff here will be taking a screenshot of us all in a few seconds. So if everyone can get ready here, put on your best smiles. I'm going to give us a countdown. I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, And then I would just ask that everybody would hold their smiles for a few seconds after. Okay, so get ready. Make sure your cameras are on, please. You're looking great. I know it's an exciting day. This is going to be a great memento, I think, for all of us in the years to come. Okay, so it's a great opportunity here. All right, I think we're set. We're all set. Okay, so we'll just continue on here with the dialogue so I can see. Thanks. All right. Okay, is everybody ready? Okay, so here we are. This is going to commemorate our 17th ITC with FedEx's support. Again, it's such a wonderful collaboration. Thank you to, of course, our friends at FedEx and all of our junior achievement staff. So first photo, everybody ready? All right, here we go. Hold your poses for a few seconds after. I'm going to count down from 3. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right. Great job, everybody. Relax for a second. We're going to do another 2 more just to make sure we've captured everybody's best smiles, best angles. Okay, is everyone ready for round 2? Let's do another one. All right, on my mark. Ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Awesome job. Whew, relax. All right, relax those facial muscles. One more to go, one more to go. And then we'll get to the big news that I know you're all very anxious to hear. Okay, last one. Everybody ready? Best smiles, please hold it. On my mark, 3, 2, 1. Amazing. Thank you so much, everybody. So, this is the moment that you've all been waiting for, no doubt. It's time to announce the challenge topic for this year's International Trade Challenge Asia Pacific Finals. I hope everybody's ready. Let's take a look. The challenge topic for the 2023 FedEx Express and Junior Achievement International Trade Challenge Asia Pacific Finals is create a market entry strategy or plan for a product to address sustainable delivery solutions. And the market you are entering is Poland. All right, there you have it, finalists. It's time for you now to roll up your sleeves, put on your game faces as we officially start the challenge. We look forward to seeing what you come up with in response to this year's topic. Best of luck to all teams, and we will see all of you at the Entrepreneurial Journey speaker session, which will be taking place tomorrow, August 22nd, from 11 a.m. to 12 noon Hong Kong SAR time. And again, a reminder also for everybody to please follow the FedEx Express Junior Achievement International Trade Challenge Asia Pacific Facebook page to keep up to date with all of the latest happenings and announcements. And I believe the link is provided in the chat. Once again, thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Kirk from JA Asia Pacific. We look forward to having you join us tomorrow for our next live session. Until then, take care.